sonoranews.com.
How about this? Some actual good news on the healthcare front, even as costs just keep skyrocketing. So if you're 65 or older, MediShare now offers MediShare 65 Plus. Call them. You can talk to them about this. A lot of people are taking advantage of this now because even if you have Medicare Parts A and B, there are out-of-pocket things, deductibles and copays that just keep going up. And the whole point is to help you by giving you a low, consistent monthly payment that fills in the gaps. In fact, I can tell you how much MediShare 65 Plus is. For example, it's $99 a month up to age 75. It keeps costs under control. That helps with peace of mind. MediShare is trusted too. It's been around for 30 years, and it's a community of people who help each other. Business owners, retirees, pastors, teachers. People love being part of it. Here's the number you can call now. They are easy to talk to. Call 833-SHARE-55. That's 833-SHARE-55. 833-SHARE-55.
Summer's ending, school's here, and Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland has the trucks to keep you moving. A 2025 Sierra 3500 Pro, $1,000 purchase allowance or 3.9% for 48 months. A 3500 Denali, $2,000 purchase allowance or 3.9%. Or Sierra 1500 over a $6,000 purchase allowance or 0% APR for 36 months. Make this school year the smoothest ride yet. Visit Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland, Kansas, or shop online anytime at hurlchev.com.
If you're shopping for a banking institution, visit with Equity Bank of Hoxie, Grinnell, and Quinter, Kansas. The Equity Bank is heavily invested in local business and activities contributing in many ways back to their community. Their employees are involved with many organizations and area events. Plus, a lot of experience comes with that staff. You'll find valuable local assistance when you bank at the Equity Bank of Hoxie, Grinnell, Quinter, and other locations in Western Kansas. The Equity Bank, member FDIC.
Today, a high-pressure system over the Rockies will bring sunny, hot, and humid conditions. Highs will be in the lower 90s with light winds from the southeast at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Overnight, clear skies, lows in the lower to mid-60s. And tomorrow, a high-pressure ridge will become more prominent, leading to even hotter temperatures with highs reaching in the mid to upper 90s. And the air will be a little less humid with dew points in the 50s. The full sunshine and light southeasterly winds will continue. Friday, a trough will begin to deepen over the Great Lakes, causing a backdoor cool front to move through the area in the evening and overnight. And before the front's arrival, temperatures will still heat into the low to mid-90s. There will be chances for showers and storms as the front passes. Over the weekend, the trough will settle over the central U.S., establishing a northwest flow over the region. This will lead to increased chances for showers and storms, along with cooler temperatures with highs 80 to 85 and lows 55 to 60. This meteorologist Chris Romick in the NWKS Radio Weather Center.
Are pests making your home or business uncomfortable? Call Pest Away in Goodland, Kansas, serving all of Northwest Kansas. They provide top-notch pest control services to keep your space safe and pest-free. From ants to rodents, termites to spiders, our expert team is here to help with effective, safe, and affordable pest control solutions. Don't wait. Call Pest Away today at 785-728-7166 for fast, reliable service. Your home or business deserves the best protection.
Looking for insurance that actually puts you first? At the insurance agency in downtown Goodland, we're independent, which means we work for you. Whether it's auto, home, crop, or business, we shop top carriers to get you the best coverage at the best price. No pushy sales, just honest advice from people who live right here in your community. Give us a call today at 785-899-5011 or stop by 1020 Main in Goodland and let's get you covered. The Insurance Agency. Insurance the way it should be.
Summer is heating up, and Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware in Goodland and Colby has everything you need to make the most of it. Tame that lawn with top-notch weed and feed from Ultimate Fertilizer, and keep those bugs away with powerful pesticides. Plus, Ego mower, blowers, and trimmers to get that job done fast. Fire up some summer flavor with a Traeger grill or a Blackstone griddle, and if you're building a fence or even fixing a sprinkler, they've got the building materials and supplies to keep your projects moving. Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware, your summer project headquarters.
When you gotta go, but there's nowhere to go, who you gonna call? Topside Portables and Pumping, that's who. Weddings, job sites, farm parties, they've got clean, reliable porta potties that don't stink, literally. And if your septic tank smells worse than last year's chili cook-off, they'll pump it out fast. No mess, no fuss. Family owned, Heartland values, always ready. Call 785-728-8089. That's 728-8089. Topside Portables and Pumping. When Tootie calls, they answer.
From drive-through banking to mobile deposit, we make it easy to get things done on your schedule. Banking should fit your life, not the other way around. This is Jessica Von Lintel at F&B Bank. Banking made simple.
In a small town, your banker should know more than just your account number. They should know your name. At F&B Bank, we believe in real conversations, friendly faces, and decisions made right here at home. I'm Paige Sneathen, Vice President at F&B Bank, and we're proud to serve your family like our own. Member FDIC.
Convenience just got an upgrade. Farmers State Bank of Oakley is excited to announce the opening of our brand new ATM along Highway 40, right next to Sonic Drive-In. Whether you're grabbing a snack or on the go, you can quickly access your cash without the detour. It's banking made easy, right where you need it. Farmers State Bank of Oakley, member FDIC.
You ready? Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4!
It's time for the Morning Blitz with Ross Volkmer.
If you want to win football, it all starts up front. Mass kicks ass.
The High Plains only local sports talk show.
Listen to this guy. He knows what he's talking about.
Broadcasting live on Rocket 102.5 and streaming on YouTube, Facebook, and X. Covering it all from the preps.
Up ahead to Blair Lennon. Lennon, the crossover, back to Cure. Hello, boom! A two-handed tomahawk flush.
To the pros.
Shotgun snap to Nix. Protection is good. Bold loads it up. He's got it. A receiver there. Franklin makes the catch in the end zone. Touchdown, Denver.
The Blitz is presented by Pearl Chevrolet GMC, Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware, and F&B Bank. Along with the insurance agency, the Farmer State Bank in Oakley, the Cowboy Corner Express, and Equity Bank of Hoxie, Quinter, and Grinnell.
Let's go to work.
Well, their bullpen has gotten better.
High drive, right field. Mangum back. He's on the track. He's at the wall. See ya. The 8th home run for the Yankees. The 2nd for Bellinger. It's a 12-2 Yankee lead.
Swinging. Center field and deep. Corner is back. Number 100. Lashed out to right. It's got some carry. It's off the wall again. Jones can't reach it. It's Martinez to pick it up. And a 2-triple night for Carroll ties us at 4.
And the 1-2 pitch. And hit deep to left. Going back is Carl, and it's gone. There it is. First Major League home run for Kyle Karros.
And good Wednesday morning, everybody. August the 20th, a beautiful start to today on the High Plains. Sunny and 64. Best of luck to all the little ones and old ones, I should say. Old ones, that's not the right thing to say. But all who are going back to school today. It's kind of been funny. I've been working on my master schedule, as I like to call it, where I try to go around the area and get all my schedules compiled into one big document from all the area schools that are in our listening area. And it's kind of funny to see the different start times of schools for different areas. And I know some schools are starting today, some started earlier, some started last week, some start tomorrow. Some even start on Friday for little kids and things of that sort. So we are right in the thick of school starting up. And I hope everyone who has their first day of school today has themselves a great one. But yeah, I know for my oldest son, my middle son, he has a birthday today. So happy birthday to Banks today. And then also, he starts school today. And so I've joked with many people. I've been like, that would kind of stink. I have a birthday and I have to go to school. That would kind of stink. But at the same time, I don't think he knows the difference. I think he's like, hey, we got to go to school. Cool. And get to start school. Awesome. And I have a birthday today as well. So happy birthday to my good man, Banks, once turning 4 years old today. We got a full show ahead for you here today. We will be talking with Jeff Hennick, Oakley High School football coach. Been a long time since we had Coach Hennick on, not since probably the fall of last year. But Coach Hennick is kind of to join us today and talk a little high school football. Look forward to visiting with him. We will get to some news about Kansas basketball. Man, it's been a busy offseason for KU basketball. You think about over many years with Bill Self at the helm, there really hasn't been a lot of off-season news. The staff has pretty much remained intact for the most part. And, everyone's just kind of gone about their business. KU goes out and either through the portal or through high school recruiting brings in some of the best players in the country and expects to compete for national championships each and every year. And this year, it's been rather newsy. They've gone late this year into recruiting. It seems like late into the summer, building the roster for the 25-26 season. They've done a lot of staff changes with Norm Roberts retiring and Jock Vaughn coming onto the staff. They lost another guy here to the Denver Nuggets, and now they've hired someone else in Tony Bland, which we'll get to that here, like I said, in segment 3. So it's kind of been not say tumultuous, but it's definitely been an eventful offseason for KU basketball, unlike we've seen usually, I think, over there in Lawrence regarding that program. So we'll get to some news on the new assistant men's basketball coach, Tony Bland, in segment number 3. It's kind of an interesting hire in some ways. So we'll get to that coming up a little bit later on. And we'll talk a little Chiefs and Broncos here in segment number 1, discussing regression and improvement. We'll get to that coming up in the program as well. But thanks again for tuning in, everyone, which way you're doing. So whether it's the Hurl Chevrolet GMC video stream or just on good old Rocket 1025 or NWKSradio.net, appreciate you tuning in here on this Wednesday morning. Once again, going to be sunny and 88. The expected high for today. So how about those Kansas City Royals real quickly? They have now won 5 in a row. They win last night over the Texas Rangers 5-2. They're 5-0 against the Rangers this year. Like I said, 5 straight wins now on the season, improving to 7-1 on the homestand. It's been a very kind homestand, particularly to Vinny Pasquantino. Had another homer last night for Kansas City. But the big thing is Royals win again, and with a Guardians loss last night late to the Diamondbacks, they are now in the top position, now 2.5 games back of that final wild card spot. So big night last night for the Royals. We'll see if they can continue this great success against the Rangers tonight at 6:40 Central Time on KXXX. See if they can get a little bit even a game closer as the teams ahead of them. The Red Sox scuffling a little bit here, lost 3 in a row. The Mariners, who are hot for a while, they have lost 4 in a row. So they're kind of scuffling a little bit at the time that the Royals are picking up some steam. And so who knows? Look out. Maybe the postseason is going to be on the horizon for this Kansas City squad. We will see about that. Man, this is not good. There we go. See, I lost my screen for a second there. I was like, oh, gosh, there goes all my notes. This is going to be a tough one today. Nonetheless, great start for Kansas City on this homestand, and they will continue tonight with young rookie Noah Cameron on the mound with that 5-2 win. Rockies, by the way, lose last night to the Dodgers 11-4. Although shout out to rookie Kyle Caros, who had his first major league home run, but Austin Gomber got shelled again. He's 0-7. I'm surprised that Gomber hasn't spent more time in AAA or been designated for assignment. I don't have anything against Austin Gomber. I don't, but he certainly has struggled mightily here this year. That is for sure. So little baseball update here right off the top, but I wanted to get to some football talk here when we get rolling here. So I was scrolling through some websites last night, and I came across an article. I think it was ESPN that had it. That was talking. I think it was Bill Barnwell was doing. Who are the 5 NFL teams that are the most likely to regress, and who are the 5 most likely teams to improve in the NFL? It was interesting to see those numbers and those teams on who could, possibly who's going to regress, who's going to get better. I know like a few of they talked about the Bears being a team that could get a lot better. They talked about the Jaguars, I think they said the Colts. I mean, they thought that now once again, getting better doesn't mean that you're going to be competing for the Super Bowl. Just means maybe you're going to go from 5 or 6 wins to maybe 8 or 9 wins, 7 or 8, 9 wins, something like that. And so it was an interesting article to see who he thought that. And one of the teams that he talked about regressing was the Chiefs, possibly. And he gave some good reasons why. We'll get to that in just a little bit. But it got me thinking, what would be, and the Broncos were not mentioned in this article. They just weren't. So the question I kind of formed up in my mind was, well, I wonder what is more likely to happen. So what is more likely to happen this upcoming year in the NFL? Are the Kansas City Chiefs more likely to regress from what they were last year? Or is it more likely for the Broncos to improve from where they were last year? So if you want to get your comments and thoughts or an answer to that question, you can do it on the FB Bank text line at 785-899-2222. And so if you want to if it's about improving, you think it's going to improve, or the Broncos will improve, or the Chiefs will regress? Which one is more likely to happen? That's what we're going to get into here today. We'll start with Kansas City because reasons for possible regression, if you want to look at it this way. First and foremost, an amazing, 15-2 record. I mean, that record is really, really, I mean, there was a time like when you look back at last year and the run that they went on, it was so impressive. But then 15-2 record and was absolutely aided by just an unbelievable amount of one-score victories. I mean, they are so good, at least in 2024, the Chiefs were unbelievable in winning one-score games. They always found a way to pull it out in the end, whether it was some blocked field goals, whether it was late touchdowns. They had a way of going about and making their getting those wins late in games. They were close, whether it was a late touchdown drive or a big defensive stand or special teams play. They found a way to put up that ridiculous 15-2 record, mostly on a lot of those in one-score victories. And I know it's the NFL and everyone's good, and there's a lot of one-score games, but to continue to win those one-score games is what is impressive. And many people would probably think that kind of, I don't know if you want to call it, I don't want to call it luck, because you can't, if you've got the right players that make the plays and they've got the skills, I don't want to call it luck, but at some point in time, that thing's going to even out would think another way, you would think. So regressing back in that department, yeah, I think I could see that. They had a ton of offensive line troubles last year, as we saw, obviously, in the Super Bowl. They've gone out and tried to address those, signing Trey Smith. They've tried to go, of course, they go out and draft a rookie in Simmons, the left tackle, and everything from reports say that he's going to be really good. But can they stay healthy there? And that's a question for a lot of teams. But, can they protect Patrick Mahomes? That's going to be the biggest thing. And when they've been able to protect him, they've been very, very good. When they have not been able to protect him, that is when they have struggled. So that's another thing that could possibly go towards that. But yeah, I think once again, the biggest thing to me on that you could possibly see regression out of the Chiefs is the fact that they've had so many one-score victories. I mean, I think they had almost 10 one-score victory wins last year. I mean, just ridiculous. I've been watching The Kingdom on ESPN, just kind of slow. I think I'm going to be on my final episode here, the next one I watch. But I've been watching The Kingdom. It's been great. I've been very entertained by it and loved watching it. But it's been interesting to go back and kind of look through that season and, think about how all those one-score games, how they came about those and how they won those. It's been very impressive. So, yeah, I think that to me is the biggest thing on why we could possibly see regression out of the Chiefs is that, those one-score games. At the same time, though, a lot of those same players are there and they know how to win in those one-score games. But that would be a biggest thing would that be? On the Broncos side, on a reason for why they might be able to improve from a season ago, they continue to just stockpile talent on the defensive end. And, they always, offense wins games and defense wins championships is always the motto. And the Broncos do have an absolute elite defense, just elite. When you think about all three levels, they are just in really good shape, particularly when it comes to the back end and the secondary. And then in the front line with pass rush, Zach Allen, Nick Bonito, those guys, they get after the quarterback. They've got great guys in the back end to cover up, or to cover up wide receivers and possibly get turnovers. That defense is elite. They've added some players, whether it's Hufunga or Greenlaw at the linebacker spot. That defense it was really good before, and it got better. It's gotten better over the course of this last season, off season and stuff. So it's very, very good. I think that's a great reason to think that they could have be a team that goes on and improves more, so that defense is even better. And then, you have a year underneath your quarterback in Bo Nix. Now that could go either way. It could be a sophomore slump for him. It could be a step of improvement for him. We'll see. And if it is a sophomore slump, throw in Jarrett Stidham, because Jarrett Stidham looks ridiculous in the preseason. But still, that That offense, weapons around him, that's maybe a little bit of a concern. Cortland Sutton, we know. Everyone else is still kind of finding their, I think to an extent, still kind of finding their true role on that team. But yeah, I really do think that because of the defense and because of the offense, the possible offense improvement could be a reason for rise for the Broncos. Another reason why possibly, when you think about this upcoming season and why both the Chiefs and the Broncos could be having, the type of season that we're talking about, regressing if Kansas City and the Broncos improve. Starting with Denver, first and foremost, have you looked at this schedule for Denver? If there's a reason why Denver could improve from their win mark last year, it is because of the schedule. The schedule, to me, looks very attainable if you are the Denver Broncos. I'm going to roll through these first few games of the season here. Tennessee has got a rookie quarterback, first-year head coach. Indianapolis, struggling at quarterback. Who knows what you're going to get there. Not really a real threatening team. The LA Chargers, who are well coached, have a good quarterback. It's certainly a tough game, but I don't think not an impossible one to win. Cincinnati, 4 weeks in. Well, Cincinnati's got maybe one of the best quarterbacks in all of NFL, and the offense is elite, but defensively they look to be horrific. So if you can score, you're going to be fine. Then you have Philadelphia. Okay, there's a tough one. Might lose that one in week 5. Then you have the Jets in week 6. The Giants in week 7. Both New York teams. I don't know. I don't think they're that daunting of a squad. Dallas Cowboys in late October. Depending, they've got a lot of drama, but they've got talent. Might be a challenging game. You've got Houston there in week 9, a challenging game. You've got Vegas and Kansas City, so it toughens up there, and the rest of the schedule. But I'll tell you, the first half of that schedule is very, very attainable, and you could gain a whole lot of momentum both offensively and defensively and rack up some wins there first half of the season. Before it gets tougher with Kansas City twice, Washington's in there, Green Bay is in there, but there's Jacksonville in there too. There's Vegas, which you would think could be some winnable games. You never know till the season gets going, obviously. But man, that schedule looks like it's a good one for the Broncos, which to me I think you could see them really have an improvement, particularly with what they've done on defense, hopefully the progression of Bo Nix, and the schedule working out for them. It could be a big boost for the Broncos this year. On the flip side, if you look at Kansas City, once again, talking about or is it more likely for the Chiefs to regress? Well, you look at the schedule and it doesn't do any favors. Yeah, they've got the Chargers to open up the season. Challenging game, but I think still winnable. Philadelphia, again, tough. Then the Giants. Okay, we got Baltimore. These are the games that are on the first half of the schedule that I'm just like, this would be tough. You've got Philadelphia, and there goes my screen again. Philadelphia, Baltimore. Now, those are home games, I understand. Detroit, which is home. Washington, which is home. You get all these games at home, but these are not easy opponents. On the road at Buffalo. In the first 9 weeks of the season, you've got Buffalo, Washington, Detroit, Baltimore, Philadelphia. 5 teams that you could easily see playing for an NFC or an AFC championship. Certainly, that is hard. Now, the second half of the season, it lightens up, where you have the Colts and the Titans in there, but you also have Denver twice in the second half of the season, which, like we talked about, I don't think will be easy. You got the Chargers in there, Dallas and Houston. The Chiefs' schedule is way, way more challenging. Way more challenging than the Broncos at this point in time. Way more challenging. So, once again, going back to the question of the day, will we see the Chiefs regress or the Broncos improve? Which one is more likely to happen? Based upon what I'm thinking, personally, I think you're going to see the Broncos improve more likely than the Chiefs to regress. Even though Kansas City has that daunting schedule, they still have all these great players. They still have all these talent. They still have all this talent, and they find ways to win these games. Could I see the Chiefs regress? Absolutely. Now, does that mean that they're going to drop down and be a team that doesn't sniff the playoffs? No. But going from 15 wins down to maybe 11, 12, possibly. Still, that's a really good season. The Broncos, in my opinion, could get off to can only have maybe a loss or two through the first half of the season. You pick up a few more, all of a sudden you're at 10, 11 wins. The schedule matters, and the Broncos certainly have the momentum to get going, where the Chiefs have a very difficult first half. So, like I said, I would put my eggs in the basket of, I expect the Broncos to improve based upon what they've brought in and what they're doing there, more than the Chiefs regressing. But that Broncos thing could really hinges on the fact if Bo Nix takes a step and doesn't take a step back. That's very, very big. Whereas the Chiefs, on the other hand, they have all the pieces. They have what they want. If they can stay healthy, which is a big thing, that was a big thing last year. They did not have the health that they needed, but they pushed through, which is amazing to me, despite all those injuries that they dealt with throughout the course of the year. If they can keep that wide receiver core healthy, if they can keep their backfield healthy, keep their quarterback upright, keep the offensive line protecting him, that defense has been really good for a long time under these Spags. They're in a good spot. Like I said, I would expect to see the Broncos even improve, even if it is from a 9-10 win season to 11-12 win season. Then I would see the Chiefs to regress from 15 down to maybe 13, 14. I don't know. It's kind of a toss-up. It really, really is. And that early part of the schedule for Kansas City is a daunting one. That is for sure. Let's go to the FNB Bank text line, 785-899-2222. Andy chiming in. The FBL is doing anything they can to knock the Chiefs down. With 3 games in 11 days last year, now Eagles, Ravens, and Lions in the first 6 weeks. It's no doubt. I mean, they are trying to set the hook on television audiences early on, Andy. They know they've got one of the most popular teams in the NFL right now, and they are going to put every big game they can against Kansas City and set that hook in the first half of the season. No doubt about that. And our great listener, Michael, on the FB Bank text line. Broncos will most definitely improve. They're stacked at every position for depth. First team on both sides of the ball. Wrecking shop at these joint practices, going up against other first teams. Running backs are way better than last season. And Coach Payton has this team ready to go. That's what Michael has to say, our resident Broncos fan. Like I said, it's going to, I think the Broncos are going to have a good year. I think the Chiefs are going to have a good year. I don't know. It's right. It's so hard. I honestly think, as I sit here, I think, boy, I could even see the Chiefs regress just because the schedule, but at the same time, and all those one-score games for the Chiefs, you got to think some of those are going to flip the other way, possibly. But man, it's a very, very interesting thing. What's going to happen more? More from Michael on FB Bank text line. As much as I hate to say it, you can't say the Chiefs are going to regress until they dethrone winning the West. They're still the champs. That's right, Michael. That's right, Michael. The king is still the king until he is dethroned. I talked about that a lot with Nick Saban. The king is still the king until he is dethroned, and that would be the Chiefs at this point in time. Yeah, Michael says, I'd like to see them regress with the Broncos there, but don't know if that's going to happen. Yeah, it's very difficult to see that. But yeah, I feel good. I feel good about seeing that regress. To me, there's a level of regress. Are you going to see the Chiefs maybe take a small step back? I think so. Yes. I don't think you're going to see as many one-score wins. They're going to have some very challenging games that I don't think they come off with the victories in. Okay, fine. That happens. But even to regress to, 12 to 13 wins is still really, really good. And I think the Broncos, though, have the wherewithal to be right there with almost the same kind of record with that 11-12 mark. Really do. So, fascinating question. Will the Kansas City Chiefs regress or the Broncos improve? Which one is more likely to happen here ahead of the 2025 football season? We'll find out. Okay, let's take a break. We'll come back. We'll be joined on the phone by our good friend, Oakley High School head football coach, Jeff Hennick. He joins us next here on a Wednesday edition of the Morning Blitz.
Looking for insurance that actually puts you first? At the insurance agency in downtown Goodland, we're independent, which means we work for you. Whether it's auto, home, crop, or business, we shop top carriers to get you the best coverage at the best price. No pushy sales, just honest advice from people who live right here in your community. Give us a call today at 785-899-5011 or stop by 1020 Main in Goodland, and let's get you covered. The Insurance Agency. Insurance the way it should be.
Summer is heating up, and Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware in Goodland and Colby has everything you need to make the most of it. Tame that lawn with top-notch weed and feed from Ultimate Fertilizer, and keep those bugs away with powerful pesticides. Plus, Ego mower blowers and trimmers to get that job done fast. Fire up some summer flavor with a Traeger grill or a Blackstone griddle. And if you're building a fence or even fixing a sprinkler, they've got the building materials and supplies to keep your projects moving. Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware, your summer project headquarters.
It's time for a check of the markets with the Anderson Trade Group on the Kansas Farm and Ranch Radio Network.
This is Austin Wright with the Anderson's Trade Group and your morning market update. It is August 20th. September 25 corn, $3.79 3/4. December corn, $4.02 1/2. March 26 corn, $4.20 3/4. September KC wheat, $5. December KC wheat, $5.23. March 26 KC wheat, $5.42 1/4. November soybeans, $10.32 1/4. January 26 soybeans, $10.51 3/4. March 26 soybeans, $10.68. Dow Jones futures are currently up 2 points at 45,000. S&P 500 futures are currently down 5 points at 6,427 points. Gold is currently up $27 at 3,386. Crude oil is currently up 75 cents at 63.10. For your grain marketing needs or more information on our Freedom Pricing tools, you can reach the Kansas City office, Jared Law, Tyler Ghosh, Tom Saludo at 913-748-3000. In Colorado, John Hinkey and John Stiles, 970-744-4484.
The Anderson Trade Group, proud market partners with Kansas Farm and Ranch Radio. Find out more at andersongrain.com. The risk of loss through trading futures and or options is substantial, and each investor and or trader must consider whether this is a suitable investment. Past performance, whether actual or indicated, is not indicative of future results. The Anderson Trade Group has no guarantee that the advice given will result in profitable trades.
You're listening to the High Plains only local sports talk show.
Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth?
The Morning Blitz.
I'm a man on a mission. I'm a man on a mission. I don't need no permission.
Rob on the FB Bank text line as we are going to break, giving in his vote. He's all for the Broncos. Eat it, Chiefs, he says. Love this rivalry stuff. So great. As we continue here on a Wednesday morning, we will get to some news on regarding the Kansas men's basketball staff, but it's time to start talking some high school football. The season is a little over 2 weeks away, 2 weeks from this coming Friday. We will have our first high school football games here in the state of Kansas, and we are pleased to welcome in good friend of the program, Oakley High School head football coach Jeff Hennick, who joins us now on the Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware Hotline. Good morning, Jeff. How are we doing today?
Hey, Ross, I'm good. We're getting back into the swing of things, and sometimes I don't know if I know what's going on, but start to get my feet wet, and I remember quickly.
Yeah. Well, you think you wouldn't lose, you think in all the years and all the practice that you've had, you think you'd know exactly what to do nowadays, right? But it's every year is a new challenge.
Every year is a new challenge. After every year, you get back down to the bottom of the mountain, and you gotta go through the hard climbs to see the pretty views again. And man, we're in a hard climb.
I called Jeff and he doesn't answer right away. Then he calls me back. He goes, sorry, I'm working with the freshmen. We got technique. Just thinking, hey, that's at the bottom, right? We're starting there with the freshmen. Got to get that technique right, putting those weights up.
It is, and man, I always got kids that, they want to put the weight on, and I'm like, if you don't learn your technique, your weight is never going to continue to climb. Eventually, you're going to hit a plateau, and you're not going to be able to go, and that's because your technique is terrible. So you got to start slow, and it'll probably be 2, maybe 3 weeks into technique with these kids, but they'll get it. They want to be good. And if you want to be good, you got to do the little things right.
You talk about the climb, for example, like with these freshmen you're talking about, but it's got to be real rewarding by the time, you get to those 3 weeks, you see a benchmark, and then, maybe it's a year later, you see the growth. You have to love that rewarding part. Even though it's hard work, you got to love to see that progression.
It is, and I think every strength coach or every football coach, I don't think it matters what you coach. It's always fun to see how far kids come in 4 years. And the biggest thing anymore for me is telling them, hey, this is going to be really tough. It's going to be really challenging. Stay with it. Stay with it. And anymore, I think we got so many kids that when it gets tough, we're ready to quit. Or if we got to work for it, we're out. And, the ones who truly stay with it, those are the ones who are rewarded.
Jeff Hennick is our guest, Oakley High School head football coach, joining us on the Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware hotline. How was the summer? How was the summer there in Oakley, getting kids to the weight room, going to football camps and things of that sort?
It wasn't bad. Of course, just like anyone, you always want more. You always hope that you have more kids that are ready and willing to go through those early mornings and sweat and then go to work. It wasn't bad, but you always want more. I was super proud of those kids who made that commitment to come in, and get better. And, the growth at the end of the summer, when you look at it from day one until, day 30 or whatever it is, it's always really rewarding.
When you look back at last year, Coach, it was a tough 3-win season for you guys, but I know you've always talked about in conversations in previous years about your team once again kind of improving throughout the season. Even though the record may have not shown that a ton last year, did you feel like you saw that improvement?
I did. It's always tough. The biggest thing that I told our kids you need to hang your hat on is, you're in a tough league, you're in a tough district. Our district, we were the only team in the district to beat Plainville. And Plainville is a 3-win playoff team, or whatever they were, and we were the only team to beat them. And it's sometimes you look at kids and you say, hey man, you guys can be as good as you want to be, or you can be as bad as you want to be. It all comes down to you. We're going to put it in, and when tough times hit, what are you going to do? And after that big win at Plainville, gosh, we had an opportunity to take down TMP. We were up 20-6, with 12 minutes or 10 minutes to go in the fourth, and we fumbled twice inside our own 30, and they score off of it, and then they score again. And those are the ones that are tough to swallow. I know, my back that had fumbled twice in that game, I know he's really looking forward to that game. But I said, everybody's going to make a mistake. It's not if, it's when, and can we rally around them to pick them back up and get that out of their mind and move forward to the next play. But lots of improvement over the year. Did some good things, had to move some kids around. And that's part of the game. Sometimes kids do not want to move positions, but, like we always try to tell them, our staff always tries to tell them, we're not going to put your wants over the team's needs. And, I was visiting with some coaches over this past weekend. Actually, I was visiting with Coach Toplip, and he said, they got to make some changes up there as well. I think a lot of guys got to go through that. And, you just hope kids are willing to accept that this isn't what I want, but this is what's best.
No, absolutely. Jeff Hennick continued to be our guest here. And that's the thing about last year, it was a tough year, got a big win against Plainville, but overall a tough year. But there was a young football team last year, and honestly, still kind of a young team this year. You didn't really lose a lot of guys from last year's squad.
Yeah, no, we didn't. I lost 2 seniors. And everybody's going to say, they didn't have crazy stats. Of course, my one senior, he did lead us in tackles. He's the first kid I've had at Oakley that's been over 100 tackles in a year. What those two kids did, and what I tried to tell them before they went off to college, I gave them a hug and said, "You guys are going to be tough to replace." And what I meant by that was they did things the right way for me all the time. They were always encouraging kids. They did the right stuff on the weekends. They did the right stuff in the classroom. Very respectable young men. They might not have lit the stat chart up all the time, but what they did can't always be replaced.
How have the younger players that are still there that are now a year older, how have they improved, whether it's through physically or maybe the mental approach to the game?
A lot of maturity, but both, like you said, there physically and mentally. A lot of them had a pretty dang good summer. My one kid who's taking our quarterback reps right now, he puts his shoulder pads on from last year, and I said, "Dude, those aren't going to cut it." And he said, "Coach, but these feel good." And I said, "Well, they ain't protecting your shoulder, man. You got to bump up a couple sizes." And, he wore small pants, and now he's in large pants. I'm like, holy cow. I don't know what it is, but I don't know. We must have found the right protein or something. I don't know. Dad must have went to kill the cow, and he ate the whole thing. But it's good to see that growth.
Well, you have to love that. I mean, that's what you want, Coach. You need big boys, and it's good to see those. Good to see those big boys start showing up over the course of time. Whether it's through just growing up or whatever.
Heck yeah. We I don't know what it is. I think a lot of people that live along 36, they got it figured out. Whatever they put in their water, but we're too far south of 36, and we don't grow them very big.
Well, apparently they get more rain up there or something. Although I don't know, you guys have got plenty of rain. It seems like this summer down there and around Oakley. So I don't know if it's that this year.
Yeah, no, it has been good. Actually, our first day of practice there, we watch our concussion video, go through our team rules. We went at 7 at night, and out of nowhere, this rain pops up, and it just sits on us and dumps. I think we had 2 inches.
Yeah.
So, once that cleared off, we went out and conditioned, and then lightning started popping, and we had to kick them out. But it was pretty good overall.
Yeah, you'll take a opening practice in the rain. Maybe it's kind of like, you get married on a rainy day. Maybe it's good luck for the season or something like that. I don't know.
That's right. But we can only hope.
That's right.
We can only hope.
Jeff Hennick continue to be our guest here on the Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware Hotline. We talk about it every year, Coach, and you mentioned just a little bit there, in your conversations with Coach Topliff up here in Goodland, changing pieces around, maybe tweaking things offensively and defensively. You're going to have to do a lot of that this year, you feel like, or do you feel like kind of the base that you built last year you can stack upon for this year?
There will be a few different changes. We've added a couple things that we think, can hopefully give us a number of advantage in some ways. But overall, our base is the same. And we're thankful for that. And, hopefully, it's just a next step of learning that we can add to it. Hey, guys, go ahead and clean up. Do not leave the gym. Sorry about that.
No worries.
We're doing some good things. I think we've got some key pieces coming back. Hopefully they know what not to do now and how to better themselves. So we're fortunate there.
When you look at this upcoming schedule this year, Coach, I mean, I'm sure it's probably another tough one, based upon the league you're in and the teams you play. But what are your thoughts on this upcoming schedule?
It's like you say, every year is a different year. Sometimes you look at teams, and when you look at their rosters, you're like, good Lord, I hope those kids graduated. And fortunately, I've been able to say, oh, thank goodness they graduated this year. But, sometimes even with that, what I try to tell kids is I said, it doesn't matter if those guys graduated. These kids that have played under them have had to go against them the whole time. So they're just as stinking tough and just as battle tested, and they're going to be ready to go. So just because some kid graduated, don't think that program is going to drop off.
Once again, we are visiting with Jeff Hennick, Oakley High School head football coach. A couple more here for you, Jeff. You've been doing this for a long time, a couple different stops. How do you feel like, your coaching style or how you maybe changed your ways of doing things over the course of a few years?
It's that's an interesting question because, if you ask guys that have done it for 30 years, what's changed? They've all got different answers. And, when I talk to Coach Ayers, who's down at Little River, he says, when I coached you guys, we were all in tight, an 8-man and we were pounding and all that. And, and as everything has evolved over the years. He said, we're spread out. Everybody used to be a run first to set up a pass. And now there's a lot of teams that look to set up the pass so that they can open up the run so they can clear the box out. And I don't know, it's just always interesting, and at some point, everybody's going to probably come back to the other way. We're going to be in double tight and we're going to ground and pound. And I don't know, it's always interesting just how the game evolves over the years.
What are your goals just kind of early on through these first couple weeks of camp, getting ready for that first game and the first couple of games? What are you hoping to see from your guys?
The biggest thing I want to see is kids be resilient. I mean, you can always tell kids that there's certain things that you do in practice. Conditioning is the biggest one for me because conditioning is terrible these first few days. And you can always tell what kids are going to step up to the challenge when it gets tough based on how they condition. Because everybody knows that conditioning sucks. I mean, it does. And it's hot. And you don't want to run another line, or you don't want to take a couple extra steps to touch that line. Well, sometimes you got to tell them that's the winning difference when it's going to get tough. Leadership isn't always fun. You got to be able to get in the middle of somebody and say, hey, I need you. But you got to do it in the right way. And, if we can get those guys to bring those other guys along and see the big picture, I think things could be fun. But until we learn how to do that, you're going to be where you are. So the biggest thing I want to see out of these kids is, hey, I'm going to go that way and you're going to come with me. If you're not getting better, you're getting worse. That's what it comes to.
Well, look forward to seeing how the Oakley Plainsmen get this season rolling, and look, of course, forward to seeing you guys here in Goodland on the 19th of September. He's Jeff Hennick, Oakley High School head football coach. Coach, thank you so much for taking some time out of your day. As always, appreciate it. It's great to visit with you. We'll be catching up with you soon.
Ross, it's always great to have you. I enjoy listening to the Morning Blitz every morning. I put it on here, and man, I enjoy everything that you bring to it and what you do for the kids and the coaches in Western Kansas. Man, take care and have a great day.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you for the kind words, buddy. All right, Jeff Hennick, right there. Great guy, great coach. Always love having him on the program. I love how the school is. They got the speaker on the school. He's yelling at kids about the weights. I love that. But he's willing to talk to us on the Morning Blitz, and I really do appreciate him doing that. He's a great conversation. One thing I've always loved, I've followed Coach Hennick since his early days there at Sharon Springs, and now over there in Oakley. I love his approach to football, particularly high school football. Is one thing that I really, really like, is that he knows that in order to win at this level, at high school football level, every year is a new year. We have to start at pretty much a blank slate and say, okay, what do we have and what can we do to put our team in the best position to win? So we may have a bunch of big guys up front. Looks like we're going to run the football. We don't have a lot of size up front. We may have to do something different. Defense may have to get creative in our defensive packages. I love that about him. He's always been an innovator. And if you watch him over the years, he puts his kids in the best position to have success. And that's what I really like about him. And there's some coaches, they're stuck on this system. We're going to run this system, and this is what we do. We're this town, we do this, and that's fine. But sometimes it just doesn't work with your personnel. You have to work with what you have, especially in high school football, because you cannot really recruit, although it's happening more and more, unfortunately. But it is. You can't go out and recruit. You have to go out and be able to take the pieces that you have, take that clay, and mold it in the best position to have success at high school football. And I always feel like Jeff Hennick always does a great job with that. He always finds a way to get the most out of his kids. Okay, we're about 10 minutes till the top there. We'll take our final break. We'll come back. News out of Kansas men's basketball. Man, it's been a newsy year over in Lawrence. We'll get to that next. A new assistant coach for Bill Self. This is the Morning Blitz.
Miss the weekend action?
Yes, you caught me.
No worries. We've got all the highlights and lowlights covered.
Hey, okay, well, catch me up.
This is the Morning Blitz with Russ Volkmer.
You can't control cattle prices any more than you can control the weather. But you don't have to be a commodities expert to protect yourself against an unpredictable livestock market. Contact me, Caleb Morris at Farm Credit of Western Kansas, about a livestock policy to help protect you from declining market prices. Work with agents who work for you. Contact our office at 785-462-6714. Farm Credit of Western Kansas is an equal opportunity provider.
Summer's ending, school's here, and Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland has the trucks to keep you moving. A 2025 Sierra 3500 Pro, $1,000 purchase allowance or 3.9% for 48 months. A 3500 Denali, $2,000 purchase allowance or 3.9%. Or Sierra 1500 over a $6,000 purchase allowance or 0% APR for 36 months. Make this school year the smoothest ride yet. Visit Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland, Kansas, or shop online anytime at hurlchev.com.
Your business was built right here, so was ours. At FNB Bank, we are not run from some distant city. We are run by neighbors, for neighbors. We know what matters to you because it matters to us too. From local decisions to face-to-face service, we are here. Bank local, grow local, stay local. FNB Bank, member FDIC.
Summer is heating up, and Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware in Goodland and Colby has everything you need to make the most of it. Tame that lawn with top-notch weed and feed from Ultimate Fertilizer, and keep those bugs away with powerful pesticides. Plus, Ego mower, blowers, and trimmers to get that job done fast. Fire up some summer flavor with a Traeger grill or a Blackstone griddle, and if you're building a fence or even fixing a sprinkler, they've got the building materials and supplies to keep your projects moving. Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware, your summer project headquarters.
Schlosser Concrete is hiring now. If you're dependable and ready to roll, they've got a spot for you in Goodland or Burlington. Full or part-time. Starting pay at $20 to $22 an hour. Class B CDL required. They've got steady work, a solid crew, and no fluff. Just real pay for real work. They're short-staffed and busy. So even if you're thinking about applying, call them at 785-899-6535. That's 785-899-6535. Or apply online now at schlosserconcrete.com.
All right, we got just a couple minutes left to go on the show today. 7:53 Mountain, 8:53 Central Time. Like you said, been a very, very newsy offseason in Lawrence. You know, you can add in all the thoughts, of course, KU football finally moving back there to the booth, the new reimagined David Booth Memorial Stadium, which looks fantastic. They had a great video posted yesterday. I love the drone videos where they fly through the facility. I think that's so cool when they do that. But yeah, it's cool to see that facility come together and see what it is. And it's still going to be a very impressive when they finish up the other side. But it looks really good right now, and excited to see what it looks like on TV here on Saturday. That's been going on. Bill Self has had an interesting offseason. He's had a heart procedure. He's lost a couple of assistants, had to hire. He continues to recruit through all this. He brought in a lot of guys late. You know, Cole Rosario was late. The big man from NC State was late. They bring in a lot of late guys, and they recently had, a guy leave to go and coach at for the Denver Nuggets. And so they needed to replace him. And it sounds like they're going to hire Tony Bland. And for those who don't know, Tony Bland has a very interesting background. He was an assistant at Washington last season, but he was one of 10 individuals arrested in a federal probe around a bribery scene and accused of accepting money in exchange for steering prospects to specific individuals and their businesses. Is pretty much what he was. And he recently, he pled guilty that he accepted a $4,100 bribe from business managers. He was sentenced to 2 years probation, did not serve jail time. He had a 3-year show cause, which means he couldn't coach college basketball for 3 years. And then it was up. He was with Danny Sprinkle there at Washington. He is pretty much brought on to be a great recruiter. That's what he's going to be. He's a recruiter. And guess what? All those things that he was doing is pretty much legal now. So it's kind of like what he was doing is no longer an issue. And so Tony Bland can now go to one of the prominent programs in all of men's college basketball and do what he does best, which is recruit any way, shape, or form, and help them bring in a whole bunch of talent. And you can definitely see over the last couple of years that Kansas has made this change. They have gone from being a team that was going out and just getting the best players eligible in the portal and paying all that money to them. They have kind of gone back to the old school thought. We're going to go and we're going to get the best players available out of high school, develop them, and then fill where needed with the portal instead of completely redoing it all with the portal. Last year, they got that taste. It didn't turn out like they wanted it to. This year, it looks like we're going to go back to recruiting the best high school players, the Darren Petersons, the Floyd Badungas, whoever else you want to throw in there, the Cole Rosarios, and we're going to develop those guys with the tutelage of guys like Jock Vaughn, who came on as an assistant this year. That's what it looks like to me. So I find it to be interesting, very interesting that, they after a 2-year trial run to an extent, we're not really going to do the portal. We're going to go with our young guys and supplement with the portal, which I think that's how most programs want to be, particularly the ones like Kansas. If you have the option, Kansas has the and here's the thing, KU for a while didn't have the money to go out and maybe get the best high school freshman. Didn't have that money because of this $20.5 million thing. Guess what? That's all been kind of taken care of now, thanks to David Booth and that $300 million gift. All of a sudden, that gives them more money to go out and get the best players in high school, to keep them there, to develop them, and build the program that Bill Self wants to do. It's kind of all come together for Kansas basketball. And you see kind of what you can see where they are going, where they were, and now where they are going. They are focusing more on how the Blue Bloods probably should do it. Best high school players, develop them, keep them, supplement in the portal. Instead of your teams like Ohio, for example, or Kent State, not to pick on the state of Ohio, whatever other team you want, Murray State, throw out there. They're going out there. They know they're not going to get the best high school players. They're looking for portal guys and trying to bring them in with whatever money they have. It's a fascinating time in college athletics. No doubt about it. Not saying I love it, but it's fascinating. And it's been interesting to see Kansas over these last couple of years go from the blue blood team that got the best prospects, brought them in, developed them, won, to the team that said, well, we're going to focus more on portals, bringing in guys like Hunter Dickinson and Mayo and all these guys and try and win that way with an older group. Didn't really gel that great. We're going to go back to starting from the bottom with freshmen and building them up through the course of their career, hopefully, and keeping them around with the money that we have. Interesting to see how it's kind of gone this year for Bill Self. But that's how it looks like it. Once again, Tony Bland, newest assistant for Kansas men's basketball.
And back lifts his ball high and deep to right. How about a walk-off three? Thomas to the 10. Denver's going on to New England. They win it on the first play of overtime. Mahomes flings it. It's there. Hardman. Jackpot. Kansas City.
Once again, a great conversation with Oakley head football coach Jeff Hennick. If you missed any of the show or that interview, go back and listen to the podcast. We are on Apple, Spotify, wherever you want to get your podcast. We are there. Just search for the Morning Blitz with Ross Volkmer. News yesterday in college football. Auburn is apparently now, after all these years, going to claim 9 national championships and 15 conference titles. And so I love this article from Auburn Sports, which is an On3 site. It says, Auburn football finally will claim 9 deserving and legitimate college football national championships. So now they are going to claim not only their 93 and 2004 and 2010 and 1983 national championships, they're going to now also claim 1910, 1913, 1914, 1957, and 1958. Kind of feels very UCF-ish, Central Florida-ish. We're just going to claim some national championships, even though they kind of have the things to back it up. I'll tell you what they should claim is a quarterback and a play caller. I don't know if it happens to know, but Auburn now has 3 quarterbacks that Hugh Freeze, their head coach, says could all play in the first game against Baylor. And they have 3 different play callers. 3 play callers, 3 quarterbacks, now 9 national titles. Congratulations, Auburn. Pick one of those quarterbacks and one of those play callers, and hopefully you'll have success this year. Otherwise, Hugh Freeze might be out again playing more golf, which he does love to do. That does it for the program. Thanks again to Jeff Hennick. Thanks again to you guys for all out there listening and chiming in on the FB Bank text line throughout the program. We're back again tomorrow in 23 hours. Hope you join us for a Thursday edition of the Morning Blitz. We'll We'll be talking Kansas football, breaking down their schedule, ranking from toughest to easiest, and also visiting with the voice of the Jayhawks, Brian Haney. That's all on tomorrow's program. It's been the Blitz. Have a good one.
Classic rock plays here. This is Rocket 102.5.